Hello students, let's start another chapter, class 6, science methods of separation in everyday life. Very simple chapter which we see in our day-to-day life also. Right, so let's start with the processes which have been given, the methods which have been given. Suppose you have you seen rice grains? So when you take it from a local market, the loose ones, you have seen small stones present in it. So generally what do? Take it in a plate and we try to remove with the help of our hands. So that method is called hand picking. Now hand picking is used when you want to pick up someone, depending on the because of the difference in size, color and shape of the particles. Easy to see, easy to pick up. So this is generally very important. So where that is why hand picking is convenient. When suppose in rice, you have how many grains in a plate? More than 500, 1000, and how many small pebbles will be there? Say hardly 10. So in this way, the number, the size also matters. So the first method of separation is hand picking. Okay, now let's start with why do we need to separate items first? Why do we need this separation? One is definitely to remove the impurities, like in this case from the wheat we are removing the stones. Second is we can get some other substances. For example, we get butter from milk, right? We can remove the cream from the milk. So this also is important for separation. Another technique is that we get pure substances. For example, there are certain pure things like distilled water. It is a pure form of water which is required for medicinal use. So that is why separation techniques are required for these three purposes. So the first technique we have done, which is hand picking, the most convenient way of doing it. But this cannot be applied everywhere. So see, those children who have been to farms, they have you seen these wheat crops? So what happens is after harvest, they are dried. So these are the wheat grains and they are attached with the stalk. So first you have to remove the grains. So they beat it against a solid surface. So this beating is called threshing. The process of separating grains from the stalks is known as threshing. See how the question comes. What is threshing? Very simple way of asking. Or another way is, suppose you have to remove the grains from the stalks. It is removed by dash. So after you get the grains, what do? It is still covered with the husk or the bran. Suppose you want to separate. First we come to the husk portion. So generally, what happens is that in olden times they have these trays and they used to uh, flip the trays and then they used to remove it. Now what is required for removing? You cannot use hand picking method. So the wind was a very important tool for removing this. That is why this process was called winnowing. When wind is used to separate lighter substances than and the other substance is heavy, then the process of method of winnowing was used. Removal of bran, removal of husk, or say if I say I have mixed puffed rice with wheat. Puffed rice is very light. You say even with your mouth, if you blow, you are going to remove it. So whenever remember those items which can be removed with the help of air or wind, uh, those substances can be removed by the process called winnowing. So see the science behind it. A person has taken this and he's standing. Now the wind is also blowing. See, the wind has to blow. When the windy conditions are not there, you cannot separate. So the husk is falling because of lighter one. It is flowing away with the wind, and the grains being heavy, they are falling down. So in this way the farmers used to separate. Now this is the direction of the wind which is taking away. Can you see the direction of the wind? So you are standing here, that the wind is flowing from the back in this way and the husk will go in the front, but the grain being heavy will fall down. So this is the second method. So if the question comes that if the wind is too strong, then also it's not possible, because then even the grains will fly away. And if the wind is too gentle, then also. So the wind has to be the right extent of wind should blow. Now we come to which type of method? Sieving. See, this is also commonly seen at homes. Majority of the Indian women, Indian mothers use this. They try to sieve the flour. the wheat flour or the rice flour, and even before baking, it is always recommended that you sieve it first. Why do we use it? This flour, it might have some impurity, some small particles of bran, or sometimes those, have you seen those small small insects जिसको हम हिंदी में घुन बोलते हैं, वो लग जाते हैं. Even if you do this, the flour, it gets comes out through the sieve, and the insects remain on the top. Very small pebbles also remain on the top. Remember, solid mixture. See the children get confused whenever you are given a mixture and the question is how to separate this mixture. First remember whether it is solid, right? So majority of the solid, this is this. And flour, always sieving, always. Okay. Then we come to, here is a process given how the salt is made. See, what happens is that the sea water is salty, it is collected in the pits here. Due to evaporation, the water evaporates and the salt is left behind. Then this solid form of salt, then it is taken to the factories where it is purified and then packed in the packets, and then we finally get it. Even it is said, even have you seen those marks during when you sweat in summers? After a moment, the sweat evaporates, but you have whitish patches in the area of the arms, underarms, right, on the clothes. So because the salt which is released from the body, that is not evaporating, only the water is evaporating. So the salt creates the white patches on the clothes. Okay, now we come to what, see, there are many here examples are given, like Sambar Lake in Rajasthan. So you need to do these things in order to get salt. You cannot just go to any lakes. Are generally freshwater lakes. This is one exception. There are saltwater lakes also. Otherwise, we take sea water, which is salty, and from there we prepare the common salt. Now we come to, so if the question comes, you have a mixture of salt and water, how will you separate? So always remember, whenever a solution contains water, in salt as well as in sugar, the only method is evaporation. Okay, you evaporate, the water is going to evaporate, the remaining portion will left. So in case of salt, this is a very commonly asked question. This is how we are going to separate the mixture. Now we come to filtration. I think filtration is later. Let's start with sedimentation and decantation. So what is sedimentation? Process of settling down of heavier insoluble components at the bottom of a liquid. See, salt and sugar, it is soluble. So you cannot separate by sedimentation because it is completely dissolved in water. Chalk powder, sawdust, then we have flour, wheat flour, and you have mixed in water, or you have mud. So it is not that soluble. So due to which, if you keep the water untouched, the impurities, the mud, it settles down at the bottom, and this process is called sedimentation. Writing of definition is also very important in science. You have to use the specific words which are given in the book, like the process of settling down of heavier insoluble component at the bottom. You cannot miss any one single word from here. Now this is only sedimentation. Suppose how are you going to separate the mud and the water? Then slowly we have to pour it down so that the water, when you are pouring, right, the water you can take and the mud will remain at the end. So that process of removing of water by tilting the vessel. So this point by tilting the vessel is important and it's called decantation. Decantation, how is it used in household and daily example? Given daily example, the answer will be when we are washing rice or pulses, we use decantation. Yes or no? How do we wash? We put water, we just stir it once and then we tilt the vessel and let the water go through. And the pulses and the rice remains. So the best example of daily life is decantation. Even in case of oil and water, they are two immiscible liquids. We can use slowly, we can pour, but generally a better method is there, which we are going to use later for removal, for separating the immiscible. Yes, decantation can also be used for two immiscible liquids. Now we come to filtration. Daily example which we use in household is स्ट्रेनिंग ऑफ टी, चाय सब लोग पीते हैं. सो यू कैन सी वी यूज अ फिल्टर इन द सेंस छाननी जिसको हम बोलते हैं, एंड the tea leaves, they remain on the top, and you have this tea. See here, the picture has been given. Another example of filtration where you are using a filter, if I say the fishermen, they are catching fish, the water flows away and the fish remains in the net. So you are using filtration. Another method, see here, suppose we need to remove, as I said, this insoluble substances like mud, sawdust. Yes, for mud you can use sedimentation, but otherwise you can also use, for sawdust you can use filtration, right? So flour mixed with water, you can filter it out. If it is not soluble in water, like chalk dust, you can use simple filter. So there are many types of filters also available. The material which are used as filter depending upon what are you filtering, right? So you can use paper, cotton, charcoal, sand. See, we have filters, water filters. They are made up of a different material. We have this filters for tea, that is just metallic having holes. Similarly, we have for air filters also, these days are coming mask. It is a very good example of filtration. What are we doing? We are trying to filter out what? The germs as well as the pollutants present in the air. Especially after COVID, everybody uses a mask, which is a very healthy habit. So, so in this way, filtration is very beneficial. And see, a muslin cloth, this is also used in day to day life. How? If you see, if I prepare cottage cheese, जिसको हम बोलते हैं घर का पनीर, what do? We are making paneer at home, so it has that water left as well as the chunks of paneer. So what do? Generally, the females, they take this muslin cloth, they pour the entire amount in the cloth. You should see these activities after reading from the book. Tell your mother to do it at home, and then you squeeze it. Yeah, these days you also has those sieves available, metallic sieves, which is very easy. Otherwise you can use, if you see those shows, those cookery shows, cook shows, they use this muslin cloth in order to filter. Okay, see here the example of fish and the net has been given. Now this is a very interesting thing. If you have seen in olden times how you used to make butter, so you have curd which is full cream, which has all the entire cream. So then you start churning it, and after a while you see that white butter floating, and the remaining liquid which is left is the buttermilk. It is the most tasty thing on earth, the white butter. It is too tasty. So this is a method which is called churning. So if the question comes, making of butter from milk, how do you get it? Churning. Okay. See, it is given, and in Hindi it is called mathni, जिससे हम लोग करते हैं उसको. See, Krishna stories you must have seen. This was a very common way of doing. Otherwise, you only this mathni, she is using a small rope. Otherwise, you can also use your hands. Now we come to the use of magnet for separation. Those substances which have magnetic properties, they get attracted towards the magnet. Generally all the metals have magnetic properties, the most present in iron. So what happens is that scrap iron can be recycled. So suppose there is complete garbage present, so they use very strong big magnets over this garbage, and everything which is magnetic here gets attached, and that is a way of separating so that the iron can be recycled and can be reused. Okay, so these were the few methods and very interesting way of doing it. Okay, let's go to the question answers. Is it given? Okay. See, hand picking is like sorting because we are picking up the substances. Okay, then we have commonly churning method. We always get cream from milk. Okay, cream or butter, anything. Filtration depends upon what is the essential factor for filtration. See, we can filter anything. Just now I gave the example. It can be water filter. It can be, you can filter the air. You can use filter for your tea. So it is the pore size which is important. How much, what is the size of the pore through which you are filtering it? Like in case of air masks, they are very, very small, microscopic, so that even the small germs are and the dust is not getting inside your nose. And similarly, our body has natural filters like the nasal hairs. This is an example of natural filters. Have now all the germs, the dust especially gets trapped. It doesn't go into the inner respiratory tract. It stops here at the nose, so it acts as a natural filter. Kidney filters our blood, all the toxins are removed. We have studied this in our junior classes also. It is the best filter of our body, the blood being purified by the kidneys. Okay. Salt can be separated from salt solution by evaporation. True. Hand picking should be used only when the quantity of one component is less. True. Puffed rice and rice grain. See, always remember here, this is false. We use winnowing because puffed rice बहुत हल्का होता है. So you just use wind and it gets separated. Mustard oil and lemon water can be separated by decantation. Yes, two immiscible liquids. Here I was telling another better method is, what, that is a separating funnel. So when you make the mixture stand, it will remain separated because it is immiscible, so you will have two layers. So in a separating funnel, what happens is it is like this. Okay, this is a funnel and there is a tap here. Okay, so you open the tap. Suppose here the water is there, it will come down, down, down. The oil being lighter always floats. The moment the oil comes here, you close the tap. Okay, so this is called separating funnel, which is the best method. Sieving is used to separate a mixture of rice flour and water. No, we cannot use with water sieving. We use filtration. Okay. Then we have, gram flour mixed with black gram. This is, dekho, atta or chana. You use sieving. Okay, it will come out. Sieving is always for two solid mixture. Always remember SSS, triple S. Chalk powder mixed with water, you use filtration. Then you have corn mixed with potatoes. I will pick the potatoes. Corn being small, कितने potatoes होंगे? दो तीन ही तो होंगे. You pick up the potatoes. Iron powder, iron. Whenever magnet is there, magnetic separation. Oil and water, decantation. Instead of filtration to separate, in what situations would you use decantation instead of filtration? See, to separate solids from liquids. See, in this we use decantation only in those cases where the solid particles will definitely settle down at the bottom and they are heavy. If they float, we cannot use. For example, in mud, chalk dust, it settles down, right? Or in those cases, we can just use decantation, even for washing pulses. Yes, we can also use a filter, but better method is like for pulses and rice, what do we use? They are heavy, so that they are at the bottom and the water is only floating up. So in those cases, we use decantation. Just now I said question number 7. It acts as a natural purifier. Material are they made of? See, they are made up of cotton, and these days synthetic materials like polypropylene, that is also used in masks these days. So the role of the mask is it protects the body by preventing the germs, dust and pollutants from entering inside our body. Okay. Then we have potato salt sawdust. Now number 1, see, potatoes are big. I will take it out with the help of hand picking. Now what remains? Salt and sawdust. Very easy. What will I do? Sawdust is always big in size. Now see, whenever you have salt and sawdust, or say sugar, you always have to first dissolve it in water. We have removed potatoes. Salt will get dissolved. Sawdust will remain as it is. So we can filter it out. Now what is remaining? Water and salt together. Evaporate the water. The remaining portion is salt. So we have in question number 9 hand picking. Then we dissolve it in water, filter it, and then evaporate it. Okay. Now question number 10. Now this is a very simple one. uh, Leela was working in the farm with her father when she realized that they left their drinking water at home. Before her father felt thirsty, she went to the nearby pond to fetch some water. After obtaining some water in the container, she noticed that the water was muddy and unfit for drinking. To purify, she kept it for some time and then she filtered the muddy water using a paper, using a piece of muslin cloth. Leela then boiled the water for 10 minutes in a covered pan. See, boiling is very important because it kills the germs. So that is why the most safe way of water treatment is boiling. After cooling, she filtered it again and made it fit for drinking. Okay, this is how. Now, what are the questions? See, either you would be given a solution or you will be asked direct questions. Generally a combination of methods is also used, like we have done it in question number 9. Okay, this is, I think we have completed this chapter.